Welcome to the Sports Business Classroom audio experience. For the next few months, our show will be hosted by a rotating panel of industry leaders in their respective realms. Each host will bring on guests who they regard as experts in their field, so you can learn from the very best about the intricacies of the business of basketball.
Hi, hello, and welcome in, everybody. My name is Bo Estes. I'm the Department Chair for Media and Broadcasting at Sports Business Classroom. I'm also an announcer for the NBA and NBL, and we're doing a new series here on the SBC channel. It's sort of a Students in Focus series, and our very first one is a member of our class of 2021, Kelsley Wilkinson. You see him in the SBC shirt right there, so we're happy to see that, Kelsley. We're proud of you representing like that, and we're also proud of you. Before we get into a little bit of your background, you have some breaking news, at least relative to most people that don't know this story. You have a new job, and we're all about jobs at SBC. We want our students to get jobs. Tell us your new job, what you're doing, and what your recent experience has been.
Yeah, so I've been blessed with the opportunity. I had an interview with Melody Standiford, who is the news director for KNOP NBC2 out here in Nebraska. And one of the things that really made me push to come here is the interview wasn't an interview, it was a conversation. It was an easy conversation, and it easily passed an hour. And one thing I liked about her as well is she did this while she was on the road, and she actually stopped on the side of the road to have that one-on-one conversation with me, which I thought was special as well. But yeah, so I am the new weekend sports anchor out here. Just covering a lot of sports, a lot of things I never heard of, like pickleball. I'm trying to get myself in depth with rodeo, because that's a big thing out here. And I literally came at the right time because there's this big event. It's about 10 days. It's called the Nebraskaland Days. And they have concerts, they have a fair, a lot of rodeo. There's going to be a parade on Friday or Saturday that we'll be walking. But yeah, Monday was my first day. So actually this is my first week, 7 days. And, they definitely worked my tail off.
That's
and
good.
One of the cool things too, is not just sports. I've done some news as well. There was just a gift day in Ogallala, which is like an hour away from here. And that's actually in mountain time. And I got a chance to, do a little thing there with them. But yes, it's been a lot of information, a lot of new things that I'm learning as far as like editing and the software that they use, which is Avid. I'm not sure if you're familiar with Avid. Yep.
I am familiar with it.
And the ups and downs that go with Avid as well.
Absolutely. So, computer crash, everything. I've dealt with it all, man.
Oh, man. So funny story. So my first day I'm supposed to anchor, my boss had me go to Ogallala, and then I had to come back. And then I had to cover the Plainsman, which is an independent league out here, Woodenback League, where a lot of junior college players play. And I was so excited when I tell you, the game was boring, but I already had my script in my mind while I was recording and getting the film and getting the highlights and stuff like that. And when I got back to the studio, I stayed a little bit longer because it was like 1-1 for the longest, and then it was like 2-1 until the 8th. So I wanted to get at least some offensive highlights, which I did towards the end. And yeah, when I got to the station, I'm typing up, my script, because I got to read off a teleprompter, and that was another thing too. And while I was clipping on my video, I got my video set, which took me 2 seconds. Now, my first time chopping video took me like a year and a half. So I'm starting to get a little bit more comfortable with that. Right? 100%. And I kind of forgot the sequence of play. So when I went back to the computer just to go ahead and check and watch, it completely froze on me. And it went from video ready to not ready. And this is probably around 10:15, 10:17.
How's your heart rate at this point?
Oh my gosh. I don't know I was panting. I was very, very, I was nervous as it is.
We've all been through this, man. We've all been through this.
And when it's to the fact that they had to get me, say, "Oh, you're on now." I'm like, "On now," and I had to go get my IFB and my microphone, and I was, it was an experience. And what made it worse was In my intro, I introduced myself. Hey, my name is Kelsey Wilkinson, this and then the fourth. And in my intro, I highlighted that we're going to talk about the Plainsman's game, right? And I read that and I realized, wait a minute, I don't have the highlights. And from that point on, I was like, I had an ad lib like, oh, we don't have the highlights. So it was a lot. And my first day, they had me saying a lot of results for rodeo. And I probably said 40 names in 2 minutes.
Yep.
And it was just like, Bruce Almighty, the movie.
Yeah,
and when he was like, blah, 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 that's exactly how
you sound
that
like
felt.
an auctioneer. Yeah, you sound like an auctioneer. Here's my thing for you, Kelsley. Mm-hmm. You are where everybody who has really made it in this business has been where you are right now. And I'm so glad that everybody that's watching this is getting to see you living in this moment. You're living your dream, but you're right at the start. And just to recap what Kelsley said, he's worked 7 days in a row. This is his energy right now on his day off. So look at his energy now. Imagine what he brings to the newsroom, and imagine what he brought to us at SBC. Let me just jump in a little bit about your background. You played college basketball at the University of the Cumberlands.
Yes, sir.
Then you stayed. I'm going to let you tell this story, but you didn't. You could have gone and played pro basketball, but instead you stayed on. So just give us a little bit about your educational background, your basketball background, and then we'll move forward from there.
Okay, yeah, sure. So I got my undergrad in communications. I knew when my ball stopped bouncing, one thing I wanted to do was to be a sports broadcaster. So we were talking about when I'm a kid, big time Heat fan. My favorite player growing up was Eddie Jones at the time.
Oh, yeah.
And I used to be in my backyard, or my front yard, I should say, playing basketball. And I used to imitate what I hear on the television and the radio. And radio was big back then, right?
Yeah.
So I used to, do my play-by-play naturally. It was just, 3, 2, 1, all the good stuff. And I was the PA announcer. So I knew that when I talked to my mom, this is kind of my interest, my thing. And she told me what to do when I get to college. And then that would help you prepare to get to that level. Now, fast forwarding to when I finished playing basketball, I'm a Jamaican citizen. And I got my Jamaican passport. I was working out with the Jamaican national team. And one of the cool things about being a Jamaican citizen is if I go overseas, there's more spots open for me because I'm not an American citizen. U.S.
citizen, yeah.
Correct. So I was excited about that. But while I was working out for this combine, my AD, my athletic director, he was like, hey, listen, if you don't get the contract that you want, I want you to be my GA and I'll pay for your masters. Whatever masters that we offer, I'll pay for it. So I'm like, what is basketball again? I totally forgot.
You saw the future light up, didn't you?
100%. So that was an easy decision for me. So I started working out basketball wise and got the opportunity to get my master's in business, even though I had no prior experience to business. But that experience helped me think differently, gave me a different perspective on things and how businesses run. And even like when I go to a restaurant, one of the first things I think about is customer service right off the bat, how they greet you. How long does it take for the server to come back? All these type of things. Now I start to think because I have that business mentality. And it's ironic. 2 years later, I go to the sports business classroom and we put everything one together. So, that was my experience in college. And what sucked was when I finished my master's, that's when COVID hit. And that was rough. Because I was just so excited to get my feet out. I was supposed to go to the summer league that year in 2020. And of course that didn't happen because they canceled it. And I found myself in what the heck am I doing with my life? Because nobody was hiring at the time. I did not have any internships while I was in school because I was so focused on basketball. And that's like one thing I wish I could go back in time, still do my off-season workouts, but find internships while you're still in school. Because
why do you feel that's key?
Because, when I left, I didn't really have any experience. I called games when I was getting my master's. I called games for the UC Sports Network. So I was a color analyst and I gave my basketball expertise or whatever you want to call that. And that felt very comfortable for me, et cetera, et cetera. And I even got blessed with the opportunity to do that for the Mid-South Conference, which is the conference that I played in.
Yep.
but that was the only experience that I really had. So I really wish I had those internships, because even though it was COVID, I could have still had on my resume, okay, I worked this place and I worked that place, and I would have probably got hired a lot sooner than what I did. But everything happens, nothing happens before its time. So I really can't complain about it. But if I could go back in time, though, it would definitely be internships while you're still in school. I can't emphasize that enough.
These are valuable lessons for our students. They really are. And I think the one thing I wonder, and you do, you graduated a unique time. It's a once a century pandemic. Yeah. So, what brought you to Sports Business Classroom? How did you talk about you're sitting there and, man, I graduated, I got my master's, and I'm just sitting here and we're in a pandemic. What brought you to Sports Business Classroom, and what were these action steps that you were looking to take to push your future forward?
So back in my AAU days, one of my teammates, his name is Shay Jones. And, we traveled together. We didn't live too far from each other, and we ended up being like rivals in high school. And his father is Mark Jones, who works for ESPN. Sure. So I saw what Mark Jones was doing from when I was a kid, and I knew that's something that I wanted to do. So as I got older, I made it a point of emphasis to develop a relationship with him, and to be able to pick his brain and let him kind of mentor me. Yep. So when I was talking to him about the pandemic, one of the first things he said, I'm never going to forget it. It was like May. He said, yeah, right now they're not hiring. And even if they are hiring, you have to like 3, 4, 5 years of experience. Until then, you're kind of SOL. There's nothing that, you can do. And I was like, that stinks, but he definitely told me months prior that there's a good opportunity to go to the NBA Summer League and to be able to get reps, to be able to be exposed to different people within the business. And when that time came in 2021, it was an awesome experience, man. And I can definitely go into detail, but I'll let you set it up, though.
Well, let's talk about it. Tell me, what were your expectations coming to Sports Business Classroom? What were you hoping to learn, and how did your expectations meet the reality of what we did last year in Las Vegas at Sports Business Classroom?
So my expectation was to really, get reps and expose myself to different people within the business. I'm never going to forget the day that you came out with I believe it was a UNC shirt on, and I walked into that big ballroom not knowing a soul, and like, I got a network. And I'm shy to a certain extent. You probably won't.
You're not. No, you're not.
Believe it. But when I first walked in there, I'm like, I don't even know who to talk to. I felt weird, but the people there were like-minded, which was amazing. That was one thing I really take back from it. We were able to have intellectual conversations about the game of basketball. That's something that you don't really get a lot with your friends.
People learn that, right, Kelsley? When they get there, all of a sudden you find you're with your people there.
100%. And even still, I have relationships still to this day. As a matter of fact, I started a podcast with two of my classmates, if you will, from the Sports Business Classroom.
Go ahead, give it a little promotion.
Absolutely. It's Let's Ball Out. We talk everything about basketball, or NBA, I should say. And we're definitely going to record another episode during this finals. But yeah, it's 3 of us, me, Corbin Ford, and Alicia Solomon, if I'm not mistaken.
No, you got it right.
And our personalities, we just bounce off of each other. Me and Corbin, we had a big fight when it talked about the Miami Heat versus the Boston Celtics, which I'm still kind of heartbroken about. I'm not going to lie to you.
Sure.
But it does give me some satisfaction to see Jimmy Butler and Donovan Mitchell and Bam Adebayo hanging out this past weekend. But that's a conversation for another day.
That's a conversation for that podcast.
100%. But no, again, talking about the relationships, even one of the guys that one of our projects during that week was to be a GM of a team, which was actually, ironically enough, was the Boston Celtics. And one of my group members actually hit me up to congratulate me, saying, "Hey, I've seen what you're doing, and thank you, good stuff that you're doing with Nebraska and stuff like that." I'm like, wow, that was so random. But again, the relationships that I built at the Sports Business Classroom really last a lifetime, and most of it is because we all are like-minded, and I think that's the key. So, but one of my biggest takeaways from Sports Business Classroom has to be the fact that a person like you, Bo, who you were over media, you're always a phone call away. If I ever need anything, you guys are extremely accessible, right? You guys always have advice, because I already talked to you while I've been up here, and you already give me some valuable advice as it is, because nobody's perfect. And again, this is my first stop, so I'm never going to hit the ground up here.
You're going to make mistakes. You're going to make mistakes.
100%. But that's one of the things I could take back, that, you know, a lot of you guys are still accessible. No matter how busy you are, you will still try to reach back at a reasonable time. And you guys are here to help. And you're not here to help while I was there in Vegas, because you did. This is a year later, and you're still, you know, almost like my number one cheerleader besides my parents.
We're really proud of you, man. We're really, really proud of you and happy for you. That's the truth. So thinking back on that experience last year, what was some of your favorite moments? What were your favorite things that you got to do at Sports Business Classroom as a media and broadcast student?
To be invited, Winter chose a few of the people in the Sports Business Classroom, and we had just a conversation about our experience. That was cool. And to be in the studio where you're on the concourse, everybody can see, and to just have a hands-on experience, right, as far as media is concerned. And even the other departments, the scouting department, they have, you know, they get to learn from individual scouts itself, and to get that hands-on experience. I think that's like the best part of it, you know. And then even though we recorded the games and they were just for our ears, but that experience too, even though I couldn't see any numbers because I was so far, but that it all boils down to repetitions. And Mark Jones emphasizes this so much. It's all about repetitions. And he's been in this league, or he's been in this business, I should say, for probably like 30 something years. And he's still emphasizing that. And that was an excellent opportunity within that week, because we were there from 8 o'clock in the morning to like 10 o'clock at night.
It's not fantasy camp, is it?
Oh, not at all. Not at all. It was definitely a lot of work, a lot of meetings, a lot of information, but everything was beneficial for our growth to where we want to become. And I want to be on ESPN. That's my goal. And I'm working towards that. But the hands-on experience is the biggest takeaway that I have for sure. 100%.
Okay, so you're a 2021 student with us at Sports Business Classroom. There's a bunch of students right now that are getting ready to come and join us for 2022. What tips do you have for them in preparing for the experience of Sports Business Classroom at Vegas Summer League?
Be open-minded. Don't be afraid to network, because that's a big thing too. I mean, I got agents on my line right now, and I was blessed with the opportunity to call an NCAA Thanksgiving tournament, and I was able to give one of my agent friends that I met at SBC, hey, these are some mid-major players that are under the radar, but they can definitely play. Yeah. So networking, because I learned from a young age, it's not what you know, it's who you know, and you won't know until you get to know. And that's one of my things that I'm going to keep till I go down 6 feet under, because, you know, that's what it's about. And it's about making relationships. So come in to make relationships, come in to ask questions, come in to absorb as much information as possible, because you're going to get all different types of experience. Even I was in media, I still got a little bit of this and a little bit of that as far as just the sports business in itself, and take advantage, but don't be afraid, because I promise you, if you don't ask this question and you leave without asking that question, it's going to haunt you.
It'll bother you, right? You'll be, I should have asked that question.
Like, for an example, Shaquille O'Neal spoke at my school in Kentucky. And my athletic director, he let me ask a question in front of the whole auditorium. And I remember right before he left, I was scared to track him down and just ask him, hey, introduce myself, what I wanted to do, because he works for TNT. He's kind of he's in the same ballpark of what I want to do. And I waited 5 seconds too late. And by the time I tried to track him down, he was already in the car going, you know, wherever else he was going to get paid at. So that's one experience for sure that I wish I could go back, and I should have just went with my instinct and tried to track him down early so I could have that conversation with him.
You know what, though? You grew from that, because I remember who you wanted to meet as we wound down Summer League. You wanted to meet Amin Elhassan.
Yes.
And I remember looking and finally ran into him, and Amin was fantastic. He took the time to sit down and chat with you. You guys probably chatted for 30 minutes over there. So you did learn from that experience.
100%. And he was gracious to go ahead and talk. And he was telling me about his experience because he did not anticipate being in the broadcasting world.
Yeah.
He was in the front office, and it was just a random phone call that led him to doing what he's doing now. And he was gracious enough to share that experience with me. And those things I definitely take away with me too. And for sure, I definitely learned my lesson because I definitely was not going to let that slide. And I definitely appreciate you for tracking him down and getting his attention for me so that we're able to have that conversation.
Yeah, that's all him doing that for you, though. I really appreciate him doing that. This is funny because I'm now asking you to do something that I end up doing a lot during the week at SBC. Uh-huh. What advice do you have for people that are younger than you, following behind you, that want to be a sports reporter? What advice do you have now with what you've learned?
Well, if you're still in school, like I said, internships, reach out to professors that you may have, let them know what you want to do. Or when you come to SBC, make the relationships to say, hey, this is what I do. Can you help me with this? Can you help me with that? Because just like you, Bo, you are gracious enough to sit down and take the time out of your schedule to go ahead and help us out. Because again, it's not what you know, it's who you know. And the more people you expose yourself to and you act the right way, the more people that will have your back and will be in your corner. And when you have an army behind you, nothing can stop you. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that, for sure.
What's interesting to me, and I think you may be, at least as long as I've been running the media and broadcast program, the first to take the old traditional route of climbing up the ladder to be a sports anchor or a play-by-play guy. You've gone to a local market. You've gone and you're doing it. You're a sports anchor right now. That is your job, how you earn your bread. So tell me how you chose that path versus another more of the modern approach where you do some podcasting, you do some other stuff, and you go that way. What were the decision points for you, and how did you arrive at this choice?
Well, I keep saying blessed with the opportunity, but me being in Williamsburg, Kentucky, right, coming from Miami, Florida, when I tell you that was a culture shock, Bo, that was an extreme culture shock. When I was there for the first 2 months, I rarely smiled. It was just basketball, school, and that's it. I was antisocial. It wasn't until I was in the singing competition, ironically enough, and my face was out there. So I know I couldn't be a mean person for, Right. So that opened me up to be more friendly around the community, around the campus, which is probably how I ended up becoming the graduate assistant of the athletic department. If I never opened up to that opportunity, I don't think I would have got my master's right now. With that being said, with COVID, it kind of, shut a lot of things down. I did not have internships. So when this opportunity came around, I know it was in a small town, but I've been in a small town before. Matter of fact, that small town in Williamsburg, Kentucky is like my second home. I lived there for 5 years, right? And the amount of relationships that I made there, again, those last a lifetime as well. So I was open-minded to the fact that, okay, I'm from Miami. I'm going to North Platte, Nebraska. There's nothing here. But I knew that when I leave here, because I'll be doing a lot of things on my own, like shooting video, editing, anchoring, writing my own scripts. By the time I leave this place, I'm going to be so much more valuable just because I can be an act of all trades. And it's not where you go, it's how you handle and take advantage of the opportunity. And that's my mindset here. I don't care where I am. I'm going to take advantage of the opportunity that is bestowed to me. And again, when you have people behind you that are in your corner, such as yourself, anything is possible, man. So, I'm here, a new sports anchor. A lot of the things that I'm doing is completely new to me, and I'm learning as I go. But like I said, don't kill you, make you stronger. And I already have my mishaps just because I'm still learning. But like you said, 5 years from now, I'm going to be looking at some of my first package I did. I'm looking at my first debut that I did. I'm really going to be laughing about it because I know when I leave here, which is a stepping stone, this is not something I'm going to be here for 10 years. I plan to be here 1 year, 2 years max. But to be able to go to a bigger market and to be able to excel, because this is definitely going to prepare me for the future. And for those that are listening, you can't think of life as the iceberg that you see above water. You got to see the bigger picture and everything that's underneath the water, because you think you see an iceberg that's this big, but when you go underneath the water, it's like this. So
yeah, man.
I'm seeing the bigger picture. Like I said, I'm excited about this opportunity, and I'm definitely going to make Sports Business Classroom proud for sure.
Yeah, no, we are so proud of you, man, and so happy for you. And I would like to point out that you did quote a Boston Celtic just a moment ago when you said anything is possible. That's Kevin Garnett, I believe. So all of our 2021 media and broadcasting students will be thrilled by that moment. But yeah, we're really proud of you, man. We're happy for you, and we are all here. If you need us at any time, obviously, you can text me at any point or call me at any point, and we can chat. Keep working. Keep grinding, and we're expecting huge things from you. So congratulations again, Kelsley.
I appreciate you. I appreciate you having me, and I'm honored to be the first one. So I'm definitely honored. I appreciate you for inviting me to at least share some of my testimony. And again, being in Sports Business Classroom is an experience I'm never going to forget. Again, there's people that I met there that will be friends for life. And I have allies for life. And again, I have to appreciate you for taking the time within the year that I met you, even before I got the job. You're still contacting me. I was able to send you stuff because I was doing stuff on my own, able to send you stuff to get feedback so that I can become better. And one thing about it is too, for those that are listening and that are young, criticism is not a bad thing. Criticism only makes you better. Sometimes it may be hard to hear, but sometimes you need to hear that in order to grow. And if you're staying stagnant, you're not growing, then you're not getting better, and you won't be able to be the best version of yourself. So, you've given me some criticism as it is already since I've been here, and I'm taking that, I'm letting that be water to my roots so that I can continue to grow and to continue to become better so that, again, I can get to my goal, which is on a national basis, and hopefully ESPN. That's definitely the goal.
There he is, the always shy Kelsley Wilkinson. Thank you so much for joining us, buddy.
Man, thank you so much, Bo. And Albert, I'm going to give you a shout out as well, because he introduced me to some people too. Some people from TNT. I think it was just that, but he took the time because he was running the whole summer league, and he took the time.
Albert doesn't stop.
100%. So he took the time to make sure that I was exposed to the right people to make the right contacts, because I still have their numbers as well. So I have to give a big shout out to Albert Hall, because he's definitely a really, really good guy, and he means well, and he's definitely helped out as well.
Thanks so much, buddy.
And thank you, Bob. I appreciate you.